right, greetings everyone. I am back for, I guess we could say, part two of my last video where I talked about, spiritual abilities and things. I want to switch gears a little bit. As always, everything that is shared here is for the purest and highest intention of everyone involved. I am Krys Rael, Cosmic Guide, and what is spiritual specialist, and here just to bring a different frequency to the planet. So those of you who know my work, Cosmic Frequency, it is designed to bring interstellar higher knowledge back to the planet. And this information is not going to be found in the traditional spiritual communities. On some level, you have to be able to be at a frequency to even perceive or actually make sense out of what I'm saying, because um, it's not meant for the typical man or woman. Let's just say that. But it is meant to uplift you and to give you a different perspective on reality. And one of those perspectives I want to shed light on right now is spiritual propaganda and the New Age movement. And my goal is not to talk ill, but my aim is to provide context. I was working at I'm trying to get this beautiful fire in the background because I love it. I was working at was like a crystal shop not too long ago, about a year or so ago. And this crystal shop was amazing. It had all the bells and whistles. It had a wonderful healing bed and a crystal bed and everything. And the shop owner, she was great. But I realized something. I realized that every time people entered into that crystal shop, and especially to go into the crystal bed, they were looking for something. They wanted to be healed. They wanted to really go deeper on their journey. They wanted to explore a part of themselves that was hidden among the muck and mire of just life, just incarnation in general. And so they would enter into the crystal shop, and they assumed that by getting into this crystal bed, that all the problems would go away, that this crystal bed would somehow magically heal them. Now, this is not a slight at all to this crystal bed shop owner or anyone, but I'm drawing a conclusion here. Anytime we seek external healing in this way, we're not really getting to the root of the issue. It's like if you were to have a cold or have a headache and you go pop a Tylenol. We now know that the 3D matrix is designed to mask the symptoms, but not to bring about a cure or an actual remedy. Well, the same thing is happening in the spiritual realm, is that there's spiritual propaganda, and this is not new. This is not anything that just has popped up overnight. This has been part of the eternal game of reality for a long time. And you could see me as someone coming from the future, if you will, here to share a message with you. And again, if you take that message as fact, great. If not, that's up to you. But, see me as a messenger of sorts in a specific way to say, look, this is a game. I've seen this play out before. Here's what's going down. Here's some tips to assist you along your way. The spiritual communities that I've seen, especially the popular ones, are not designed to give you freedom, just as the healthcare system is not designed to give you freedom. These things are designed to give you the illusion of freedom, but provide a liberty, right? A feeling, but not a embodiment, not an experience, right? So going back to the crystal bed, they hop in the crystal bed, they leave, but they continue to have to come back weekend and weekend and weekend, over and over and over, in order to be healed or to have some sort of remedy from this crystal bed. Now, what would be more beneficial is showing people how to level up their consciousness so that they don't continue to create situations and nightmares where their physical body is in pain or in agony. Because most of the times these people were going to the crystal bed, and this is just one modality, and then they were going back to their everyday lives, to the regular 9-to-5 job, and nothing changed. Nothing changed. And so spiritual propaganda is there to provide bells and whistles and immediate satisfaction. It's not there to provide long-term solutions, because there's a technology behind how those crystal beds are supposed to work that should be disclosed to the people coming in to use them. And this is the same thing with float tanks and things of this nature. And the thing is, people don't really care about the deeper workings of reality. What they care about is, I don't feel good, make me feel better. I want to stay the same. I just don't want to feel bad while I'm doing the thing. And so this is never going to help humanity move forward. This isn't. This mindset of, I don't like how I'm feeling, so I'm going to do an ayahuasca ceremony. I don't like how I'm feeling, so I'm going to do a crystal bed. I don't like how I'm feeling, so I'm going to go do this thing. Now, I understand there's levels to this, but we have to get to the root cause of these elements in our civilization as a people, as a whole. And the root cause is nothing other than our own thoughts. And it's also an overlay that's been given to the people as fact, as truth, where three-letter agencies, oligarchs are standing at the top of the pyramid, if you will, and saying, hey, this is what spirituality is. Hey, this is what religion is. Hey, this is what being healthy is all about. And so you have a very compartmentalized system set up to bring about confusion, to bring about a lack of wellness, spiritually speaking. And so spiritual propaganda is rampant. A lot of things that we see playing out are meant to, again, make you feel good, but not really solve the issue. Another example I'll use is what was going on other parts of the world where there's all these tragedies happening. And now everyone's talking about it, everyone's posting about it. And there's this level of guilt that was built into it, that if you didn't talk about it, you were somehow bad or whatever. Right? That's spiritual propaganda, using love and light to bring forth a feeling of inadequacy versus a feeling of empowerment, where if you're not sad and sulking, upset about something, you're somehow, not doing the right thing. Another mode of spiritual propaganda is the worship of deities. And this comes in the form of Krishna. This comes in the form of Buddha, and all these things that have been hijacked, rewired, and then fed back to the people. I've talked about this before in my spirituality and religion video. So a lot of people who are true seekers of their own well-being fall prey to these traps, where they think that they're getting adequate spiritual knowledge, and they're not, because most people do not understand that the spiritual community is probably the most heavily infiltrated and targeted community. Why? Because it is the one place that once you break out of one level of the game, you enter into, and people think that just because it's shiny colors and sparkles, they're free. They're not. You have to understand that the only freedom you're going to find is within yourself. The spiritual journey was meant to be one of unfolding, one of progression over time, one of the source realizing itself as the source. And so what's happened is different factions of beings on and off planet have infiltrated these collectives of spiritual groups and started to pay people a lot of money to offer a certain narrative. And a lot of those narratives look something like this. Oh, this is ancient Egypt that existed in this age. These were the pharaohs. This is what's happening in the king's chamber. This is what's happening here. But that's not true. Just because you see someone on Instagram with hundreds and thousands of followers saying, hey, I went to the pyramids, and hey, this is the truth, and this is what's going on. You have to understand the game that's being played. It is compartmentalized information, not meant to free you. That information is there, and it's designed to distract you and give you kind of a glazed over, let's say a fifth dimensional fluoride stare. There we go. There it is. Your fifth dimensional fluoride stare, where you're getting all the bells and whistles and, oh, wow, wow. When there's no real integration happening, there's no real knowledge. It's all, let me pause for a second. %98 of what you're seeing, especially about the spiritual path, is there to bring about more confusion and to continue a narrative that keeps a race of beings controlled under someone's thumb. There's a lot of conspiracies out there that talk about reptilians and all these kinds of beings and everything like that. There's some truth to that. That there is off-planet energies, beings who are in control of what's happening on the planet, who interface with three-letter agencies and say, hey, set up this agenda. Hey, make sure you put that in their food. This is all very real things. You have to understand how the game is being played in order to play the game. And so how is one to find their way through all this? The fluoride stand. How is one supposed to find their center? By letting it go. It sounds so easy. But you have to develop multiple layers of awareness. You can't just stop and settle. Say, hey, this is the end all be all. There's a pure frequency that resonates within all of us, but that cannot be accessed through the lens of another. It cannot be accessed through the lens of someone else. One day, you all won't need cosmic frequency because you will realize that you are cosmic frequency. You realize that I've only been transmitting a frequency that is you, that I am just your mirror reflection. But until then, I'm here as a guide to say, remember. Remember. What? Remember what? Well, before you came here, you remembered who and what you are, and after you die, you will again remember who and what you are to some degree. But we can't be afraid to let our spiritual concepts be challenged. I know I just did a post on the chakra system. That's just one of many. You know, I just did a talk about drugs and alcohol. That's just one of many. The UFO community, heavily infiltrated. Why? Because again, if you really are in touch with interstellar beings, like some of us are, you will know. And it won't be through some third party thing. It'll be direct experiences that are so hard to define, but you just know it to be true within yourself. But then later on, it is affirmed by something someone said, something you saw online. But there's a synchronicity that takes place that validates that experience. But the UFO community itself is designed to set up another false sense of connections with extraterrestrials, because Ashtar Command and all that group of people, you know, are there to take the ungrounded star seeds. Come over here. These people really haven't found themselves yet. They're looking for the answers, but hey, bring them over here. Come on. They'll never know. They'll never figure it out. As long as it feels good, as long as it makes them go, oh, come on, let's go. I'm Ashtar Command. I'm from the fifth dimension. We're ascending up the blah, 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 whatever, right? Oh my God, I'm channeling Ashtar Command. I'm channeling Jesus. I'm channeling Thoth, all this stuff. No, you're not. You're channeling a psychological program that's held in the stratosphere that's being projected from underneath the earth by three-letter agencies designed to capture your consciousness and sidetrack you. That's what's really going on here. I personally never channel. Everything I receive is from my field. It's a direct transmission, communication. You can get to a point where you have direct communication with star people, yes. But what I'm saying is, to get to that point, you got to go through all the other stuff and filter it out. You have to really be able to filter it out and not just latch onto something because it's popular, not just latch onto something because everyone's talking about it. And because you're looking for something, you're looking for your star family, you're looking for something to be true deep inside of you. That energy is that's desperation, my friends. I'm not telling you this to be rude. I'm saying you have to develop your own sense of security within your own being first. You raise your consciousness to be able to interface with advanced beings who are already at that consciousness. But if you're coming from a place of desperation, a place of, oh my gosh, if only I don't want to be on planet Earth anymore, that's when the spiritual propaganda takes a hold of you. Because you have not rooted and grounded into your own essence, into your own cosmic frequency yet. And so what's being reflected back to you is the insecurities that you're still holding on to. There was a group of beings that I communicate with that I denied for the longest time because for myself, I personally don't want or desire all this external stuff. I like to be in my own field. But something I realized is the thoughts that you have naturally connect you with the people who are having those same exact thoughts and the beings. I just found a fortune cookie the other day. Let me see if it's in here. I just found this fortune cookie the other day. And again, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I was not looking for this. I was just cleaning my room and I found this fortune cookie and it says, act boldly and unseen forces will come to your aid. Act boldly and unseen forces will come to your aid. That's what I'm talking about. And what does it mean to act boldly? It means to stand your ground in your own frequency, in your own essence, in your own body, in your own heart and mind. It means to be yourself, unadulterated and affected by all these agendas. And when you stand in that frequency, you create a field of resonance that naturally is in alignment with higher states of consciousness, therefore higher intelligence. There's your contact. There's your disclosure. And I see so many of my brothers and sisters falling into this trap of glorification. I went to, I'm not going to go there, but I've been to places and I've seen a lot of glorification of, oh my gosh, that's so and so. They know this information. Oh, that's so and so. They know this. The spiritual celebrity stuff, and it's just sickening to me because the essence of the true spiritual journey has been all but lost on this planet. Although it's coming back, I would not be sitting here if it wasn't. And really, maybe this is a past, future, and present message for wherever you are on your journey. Maybe some of you have realized what I'm saying and you've made your way through the spiritual propaganda. Or maybe some of you are still in it and you don't know it. So you need to hear these words and it can activate something within you that says, wait a second. Yeah, maybe I need to take a look at this. Because there's no such thing as spiritual hierarchy. We all unfold over time. We all naturally blossom over time. And each of us are the source, realizing itself as the source lifetime after lifetime. Now, I don't believe in a linear incarnation process. I don't believe that I'm only here and then I'll die and then I'll go over there, because time is a sphere. Time is not a straight line from birth, life to death. No, time is a sphere. You can have multiple incarnations at one point in time. This is only one version of myself. I've met other parts of myself here in the physical who are future versions of myself. I've met my celestial self. So I just realized there's so much I need to share with you, and it all kind of jumbles in on itself. So excuse me, I need to pause sometimes to, focus. So with that said, we are not these limited linear beings that only experience things in one direction. When you allow your consciousness to expand into what you are by releasing old programs, you are going to gravitate and create a field of resonance for other people, places, and things in that bandwidth. All right? Let's look at it like this. You have 5 fingers. Most people only know themselves as the pinky. They don't know anything else about, they only know themselves as this. As you level up your awareness through meditation, through introspection, through allowing your beliefs to be challenged, you then open up this part of you that's always been there. You would call this your higher self. You would call this your higher self, right? But it's always been there. You've always been there. Then once you make it through this integration process, you move into this. You would call this your star family, but still you again. You would call this the source. And this, it goes on and on. So you unfold over time. What spiritual propaganda does is it says, boop, here's the answer. Here, guys, this is what the Egyptians were doing. This is what the Celtics were doing. If you want to teleport, here's how the technology works. Wink, wink. We have the technology. It's hidden underground. We use it against you all the time. Oh, yeah, by the way, all the earthquakes and the natural disasters, they're not natural. They're caused by us. But we're going to pretend that we don't have this technology. Right? This game is deep. You have to, you got to see this with different eyes. This world is not what you think. This realm is not what you think. Fossil fuels do not exist. Meaning there's no such thing as running out of fossil fuels. So even though we're using a crude method of travel and propulsion technology, fossil fuels, right? The rocket is an awful technology. They still make you feel like we could run out of it. We could run out of this energy at any time. Spiritual propaganda. Place the blame on the people driving cars. They're hurting the atmosphere. There's so much compartmentalization of true history, knowledge, and wisdom that most people have no idea. Most people wake up to some degree and they plateau, they stay stagnant, and they don't allow themselves to move from that spiritual box until Krishna comes back, or until Muhammad arrives, or until Jesus comes back, or whatever it is. All these things. One. Yeah, we're going to go here right now. It's all stellar people. It's my people. All the Krishnas, all these ancients, these are just extraterrestrials. These are other human beings from other star systems engaging with humanity that get deified, flipped around, and discombobulated as a god or a guru. You all see someone talking to you like myself, and you assume that, I'm just as you are on some level, yes. But this is what's happened in the past. People have come from other places, other realms, to offer wisdom and knowledge to the human family. At that point in time, humans have no idea. They don't know that there's talking or hearing something come from a different space until it's glorified or until it's made into be a big deal. But it's the subtleties. It's the ones who are speaking from that quiet, powerful stillness that are the real ones. I'll say it like this. The more you see something being pushed in, the bigger it is, the louder it is, the more attention it gets, especially in this 3D matrix. More often than not, the more controlled it is by the powers that want to be of this realm. For a long time, my message wasn't able to be heard until I changed how I think about myself and what I'm here to do. Now, I don't hold that thought that my message can't be heard. I know that my message will and is being heard, because humans are getting to a point where cosmic frequency is becoming a must. They understand the necessity of shifting the reality to experience something different now. So just be cautious, mm, especially when it comes to history, the unseen things like time. Quantum physics is a huge trap because it's a paid institution that only is allowed to publish certain factors of information to keep a certain narrative going. That's why I don't really use the word quantum, because I know better. I know quantum physics is a very controlled atmosphere that does not give the real physics of how reality works. That's why they talk in, they don't really make sense. They talk in very ambiguous terms. Einstein's theory of relativity was not accurate whatsoever. His theory on gravity was not accurate whatsoever. Um, these are all things that were paid off to paint a certain picture. And you could ask, well, Krys, Einstein lived, however many years ago. It doesn't matter. This stuff has been happening for a long time. True history, true history is very hard to get a hold of. It's written inside you, really. Um, and unfortunately, a lot of Tesla's work has been flipped and turned inside out as well. And so what I'm trying to paint for you here is you have to deprogram yourself, but even beyond that, get into that 0 point space where you are now the one realizing how reality works. Whoa. Okay. And it's going to come from a very grounded, secure, confident, and rooted place where you're not really searching anymore. You're now just kind of experiencing things as you go, knowing that as you show up, it shows up. I've had like that thing I just showed you, the little quote. I wasn't searching for it. It showed up as a reflection of what I'm doing and being. And I hope I'm doing a good job of expressing this to you. The spiritual propaganda is really heavy. Even things like around the food diet, first it was everyone's vegan. Now everyone's not vegan. Everyone wants to eat bone, liver, and things like that. Bone, liver is not a thing, but you get the point. Well, no, don't do that. Because one person who has a lot of followers says one thing, who's getting paid for all this money, and they start to talk on these topics, and then it starts to ripple. So people pick up on it, and it's just a popularity contest at that point. But what's really happening is the powers that want to be are behind the scenes pushing that button. Let's see what the humans do when we tell them that this is good for them or that that's good for them, And so they use something like veganism as a tool, as a weapon. They could care less who's a vegan or not, as long as everyone's fighting against each other, as long as people are not agreeing and fighting back and forth about what's the good diet and what's the bad diet. That's all that they care about. As long as people are fighting about women's rights and this and that, that's all they care about. They don't care about anything other than creating turmoil and chaos. Whatever they can use, they'll use it. Oh, let's say all the reptilians are bad and only the Pleiadians are good. Yeah, let's create that argument. So now you have a battle between what ETs are good, what ETs are bad, da 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 da. You see what I'm saying? You got to get on a different level of consciousness. You got to see the game from outside of the game while being inside the game and realize that you're the one creating the game. You're not going to hear this perspective in many other places. And that's because most people can't perceive this perspective just yet. There's a lot of people who are sharing math and who are sharing different modalities of how to view reality, but they're still doing it from the Newtonian principle. And it's like, I can tell that you really want to do the right thing, but you can't advance sharing something that is still the base foundation of what the civilization was built on to begin with. Astrophysicists, they haven't been to the moon. Spiritual propaganda right there. Why? Because they don't have the technology. They don't have the technology to read what's going on in the pyramids and the temples. They can try to decipher the codes all they want, but that code was written for someone who has interstellar capacity, knowledge, and information. It wasn't written for some explorer who hasn't leveled their consciousness. You're only going to experience reality from the level of consciousness that you're at. So I could be talking and teaching and sharing and guiding, but if you're not at that consciousness to perceive what I'm saying, it's only going to make sense to you based on your current foundation. So let me pause. I can't believe it's already been a half hour. And check out these comments. I'm frequency matched to almost everything you are talking about. Of course, my friend, you will not be here if you were not. I'm the best version of myself this day. Beautiful. Yep. The journey is the best part. Yes, it is. Um, you guys are amazing. Makes me glad to hear stuff like this. I was kind of frustrated for a while that I was so grounded that it was hard to have those expanded experiences. Turns out that's the greatest asset. Yes, it is. And I think that's something that's really, really underrated is a lot of the star contact that I've had has been very grounded, very humbling information. And it's because when you're rooted in yourself, there's a security, there's a calmness because, oh, you remembered, oh shoot, I am the source. So there's no fear. You're not reaching for anything. You're just, again, allowing yourself to expand and experience yourself as you go along. As my friend here says, the journey is the best part. That's it. But it's until you get to that negative buoyancy point of yourself, that 0 point, that it feels like you're ungrounded, that you feel like you're, oh, what's going on? Oh my God, no. I meditate every day. I do Qigong every day. I have 500 downloads on my phone that I'm constantly updating, but it's all coming from a chill place. Like when you meet me in person, I'm probably one of the most chill people that you could be around. And I say that because, yeah, it's true. I'm not all buzzy and like, oh my God, like, not that there's anything wrong with that, because some people just have that as their personality. I think you know what I'm saying. It's more of a ungroundedness as we're talking about, right? So being grounded is a very, very powerful thing because you can be rooted in yourself and in your core center, but you can check out different modalities and informations and not feel threatened by it, right? Oh, thank you, Golden Orb. I appreciate that so much. So I wrote something here, January 4th of this year, on what it means to be a leader. And I wrote, how will you lead hundreds and thousands of millions of people? Because I know in other experiences I have done this. And I bring that information back here. But what I want to tell you all is I'm not here to lead, although I'm leading. What I wrote is I won't. I will remind them and teach them how to lead themselves. That's the key. I am reminding you and teaching you how to lead yourself. That is how a society becomes interstellar. That is how a society develops the capacity to travel the stars and the cosmos, because it has done the necessary work required to access the technologies that are needed to understand the concepts, to build the devices, to get their butts in a spaceship and out into the cosmos. It's an inside job, individually and collectively. So as I go exploring my own inner world, and as you all go exploring your own inner world, then others who are doing the same thing, we naturally gravitate towards each other. We share information, ideas, and thoughts. We start to develop different technologies that are developed from that higher state of consciousness. Remember that reality is only a reflection of the totality of one state of mind. That's all it is. That's all it is. You can only experience what you are. You never get what you want. I want to do this. Good luck. You're only going to experience what you are. That's why it's so important to be honest with yourself about the spiritual content that you're engaging in. Not all of it is bad. I'm not saying that. Not all of it is awful. You shouldn't just chuck it all out. What I'm saying is, does it and is it benefiting you truly, or is it a crutch to your own gnosis and your own um, breathing as a soul? That's the difference. Pay attention. Is this modality, is this teacher, is this class, is this whatever making me feel expanded in my own essence? Or is this simply appeasing my insecurities and making me feel good for this moment? Those are two totally different frequencies. And it's up to you to navigate into which one you're playing in. A lot of people, they don't want to teach you how to be a leader. They want to teach you how to be a follower. Again, I go back to what I said a couple moments ago about the crystal bed. You hop in that crystal bed and it's supposed to heal you, supposed to fix you. How? How? Yes, everything is frequency. I understand that. I understand everything's frequency. I understand everything is light and all that stuff. But I also understand that the DNA is not something that is separate from the consciousness. I understand that the body is not separate from the consciousness either. Meaning, if I hop into an external healing modality, an ayahuasca ceremony, a crystal bed, and I expect it to shift me, it's only going to provide a temporary placeholder for the shift that I need to do within myself. Because once I leave that yoga mat, that crystal bed, that shamanic journey, that ayahuasca ceremony, once I'm done with that breath work, whatever it is, the ice bath, once I leave those things and I go back and I'm sitting by myself and I'm faced with an inner emotion, thought, or feeling that I do not like, do I have the capacity now to transcend that and bring myself back into harmony without needing to go back into that session to do this, this, or this? That's what I'm talking about. That is power. Power is in potential. Power is potential. Power is not the expression of something. Power is in potential. So we have to be really honest with ourselves. There's a select few of YouTube videos and people that I watch and engage with, because most of the things I hear online and see on Instagram are just the same thing. It's regurgitation. It's love and light. It's the fifth dimension ascension. It's the new moon that. I'm done with it. This is cosmic frequency. I'm not here to play kumbaya with you all. I'm here to offer you an opportunity to level up your consciousness. Take it or leave it. When you enter into my field, it's not the same, because I don't hold thoughts of normalcy anymore. Yes, I get upset and I get angry and this and that and stuff like this, but it's at a different tier now. And this is what I want you all to remember and I invite you all into, is to experience yourself in this way. So, this is not used as an off and on switch. It's just something you become. Exactly. And most people are using spirituality as a hot and cold thing. This is whenever I used to go to church, we'd go to church, mom and dad would be so happy, everything would be great. Come home, a couple hours, they'd be fighting. What the fuck? Like, didn't Jesus just talk to you about this? Right? Kind of energy. It's the same thing with spirituality nowadays. All people have done is they've dropped one modality of feeling secure within themselves for another. Instead of Jesus and all that stuff, it's now all these other entities and beings, right? But the base consciousness hasn't shifted at all. So people think that they're awakening and all these things, but yet they are to a degree, but they're hamster wheeling it. And so I'm interested in working with people who are interested in getting off the hamster wheel and into their own cosmic identity, who are ready to expand and perceive reality in a completely different way. So let me see if I have anything else. How long have I been? 39? Okay. Woo. Yeah, I mean, really, something I wrote here is like having a disciplined mind, and this might be something I say for another video, but having a disciplined mind. Most people are not disciplined, and the importance of a disciplined mind is that you don't get overcome by thoughts that aren't yours anymore. Whenever I played college sports, trust me, you needed to have a disciplined mind, and there comes a feeling of power and security whenever you know you can hold your own field, whenever you know you can hold your own energy. But most people are so pushed and pulled by what's happening with the moon, by what's happening with the status of the world, right? And what happened on the news or what happened in this spiritual group. There's always this external influence, and there is always going to be that external influence. But what I'm saying is to become secure and sanctioned within yourself, that you can now observe those things, and then ultimately you can affect them. You can realize that you are the source, and you can have an astronomical effect on what's happening in the world. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what humans are designed to do. We are on one level meant to have this experience, but on another level we become the experience. We become the one who is changing the weather. And this is something I also teach, is like weather manipulation, things like this, right? So you're no longer externalizing the source or God or the ether. You realize yourself as it. But that's what the spiritual community actually does not want you to do. It wants you to continue to rely on its high level teachers. um, I don't mention names, but you guys, you'll see for yourself if you're meant to, if you want to. It's there to have you rely on them so that you're not freeing your actual self. Do you really think that it's that hard to do something like teleportation, or do you think really that it's really that hard to do something like create a free energy device? No, these things are not actually hard. It's the concepts and the ideas around these things that have been planted into us, and then only a select few people have the knowledge to, talk about it or figure it out. You're the source. What's your limit? What's your limit? What do you think? Um, Drop some names. Kindly call them out. Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that. Is that my role, or is my role to be who and what I am, and then let people feel that frequency, right? Um, because at the end of the day, the people that I would call out, they're still playing their role. They're still doing their part of the game, and that's great. It's up to people to discern that. Um, that's why I don't really like to talk about other people, because really, it's not going to help you. That's just my perception at the end of the day. And if I'm perceiving it, but you're not, then what's the point? So I just share what I share, and trust that the right people can feel that frequency. So, um, guys, I've been on a lot today, and I think I'm gonna go get some water, maybe go outside, maybe do some magic, maybe create more videos later. But you all are amazing. Thank you. Yes, ethics is the key in morality. If you don't have ethics and morale, what's the point of anything? You can develop yourself psychically, but you can use that psychic energy to do some real damage in the world. And so, yes, develop yourself as much as you can, expand your consciousness as much as you can. So don't ever stop asking questions. Don't stop being curious about how things operate, and don't settle until it makes sense to you. Um, Again, what I share is from my personal lens. It could be completely different from you. We might arrive at the same conclusions. We may not. It's all good either way. I think the gist of this video was to remind you that there's a lot of spiritual propaganda out there, and a lot of that is designed to keep you looping. It's not designed to provide actual freedom. A lot of the stuff that's talked about from the ancient times is manipulated um, information. It's not true history. Peace.